Sunset of Time by Albinocorn. Chapter 12. Fight and Flight. Rarity has stood by her word once he said she would take a long bath. You know, the sad part is, for all you birds, this is the closest thing you're ever going to get to a shower scene on this show, and it's with a pony. I hope you're satisfied. She reclined against the back of a large tub, relaxing in the now lukewarm water. How long has she been there? An hour? Maybe two? She lost track of time and honestly didn't care. A mud mask was splattered across her face, and cucumbers rested over her eyes. Incense wafted across the room, filling it with the sweet smell of lavender, giving Rarity a calm, tranquil feeling that relaxed every muscle in her body. Rarity daydreamed she was floating in the middle of the ocean without a care in the world, not even concerned that her hose were getting pruning from soaking so long. Was the only way Rarity could sum up her feelings of total zen. Having abandoned all worries and stress. She didn't care about Fest for radius or some silly crown. Those could wait until later. What came next was like a wrecking ball, shattering not only the walls separating Rarity's bath from the next room, but all sense of peace he has been experiencing. The wall busted outward, raining debris and drywall into the bathtub. She screamed, ripping the cucumbers in her eyes, just in time to see a large, feathered creature catapult past her and crash into her bed. Rarity jumped out of the now filthy water, mind still careening and trying to pick up the damaged pieces of her relaxing evening. It was a fruitless effort, and she knew she had a better chance of fixing the hole in the wall. Looking through it, she saw Twilight grappling with one of the griffins from before. "Rarity!" Spike bounded across the hole and hugged Rarity around the middle. "Are you okay?" "I'd be lying if I said yes," Rarity replied in a sour tone. "What does it question is going on?" "Spike! Rarity!" Twilight joined her in the demolished bathroom, having blasted the other griffin against the wall. "Think us you're okay. Quick, we need to. Twilight, wait!" Rarity stopped the hoof on the tile floor. "What is going on around here? I demand an explanation as to why there are griffins in our hotel." "I don't know," Twilight yelled in a panicked voice, eyes bulging out her head. "I just woke up and found two of them about to kill Spike and I." It's a shame you weren't successful on the Spike part. "I have no idea what's going on." Twilight, I think he's starting to back up." Spike pointed the claw back to the other room, where the griffin was pulling himself off the ground, preparing to strike again. "Hang on!" Twilight said, powering her horn. Rarity could feel the tingling sensation of teleportation overtaking her as white light started to fill the room. Just as she began to disappear, something yanked on her tail, jerking her in another direction. Worst sense of nausea Rarity had ever experienced settled in her stomach. She felt she was being stretched and compressed at the same time. She had only teleported with Twilight a hoofful of times, but she knew it never felt like this. She felt soft grass brush against her legs, and a cold wind blew across her wet fur, instantly sending shivers across her body. She opened her eyes and rubbed the rest of the mud mask off her face and saw tall city buildings around her, while stars gleamed overhead. Rarity looked around to gauge her surroundings. She had reappeared in a small park somewhere in Las Pegasus. Nausea returned to full force, compelling Rarity to slap a hoof across her mouth to stop herself from throwing up. Very positive, ponies can't do that. She held back the bile, tasting the horrible acid in the back of her throat. When finally subsided, Rarity took a deep breath and fell back into her haunches. "That was awful. I think I'd rather have Sweetie Bells cooking again." She felt away when the stout of nausea. "Shame, Vic! Shame!" 12 chapters in, and this is the first time I had a word trip me over. She felt a wave of nausea and longing roll over her heart. Once again, she had head up and left on a venture without telling her sister goodbye. How much would Sweetie Belle have grown by the time Rarity saw her again? Would she get to see Sweetie Belle again? Rarity was pulled out of her steadily darkening thoughts by a loud groan behind her. She twisted around to see Spike getting up and holding his head. "Well, it felt like that in a long time." "Spike, are you okay?" Rarity asked, rushing to his side. Spike looked up at Rarity before looking him over himself. I think so. Wait," he grabbed his tail and groaned, eyes focused near the tip. "I don't believe it! I got spliced!" Rarity's eyes widened as he landed on Spike's tail. Half of the purple scales that decorated were now gone, revealing the soft, squishy pink flesh underneath. "Oh dear!" Rarity held a hoof to her mouth. "Doesn't hurt, does it?" "No, not really." Spike's chin drooped. "But it'll take forever for them to grow back." Look at his tail going around. "Where are we, anyway? Where's Twilight?" It's not like you're in the midst of a teleportation spell. Rarity was about to answer when something shifted in the grass nearby. A large shadow got to its hands and knees, shaking off whatever dizziness had taken hold of it. Straining her eyes, Rarity began to make out some of the shadow's features. A brown coat, dark feathers, and a more slender build than the rest of her griffin counterparts. Eliza looked over to Rarity and Spike, Aries narrowing a predatory manner. Well, I'm not to take it on with the pony princess. Well, I guess this is consolation. She held up her claws, and knives dispersed between each knuckle. Payback time, you little prissy. Spike jumped in front of Rarity and spreading his arms out. You have to go through me first! Eliza clicked her beak in amusement. I'm so glad you faced it like that. She glanced at Spike, thrusting her knives forward. Tugging in the exposed part of his tail, Spike turned his back to Eliza, while Rarity screamed, unsure what to do. The knife struck against Spike's scales and simply rebounded, catching Eliza over his spies. Spike spun around and let loose a small shadow of emerald flames from his mouth. Boo! Double boo! Get off the stage, Spike! Yeah! We want the girls to fight! Yeah! I'm sorry, Spike, but you heard the audience. They want the girls to kick ass, not you. Go home. Nobody wants you, Spike. I'm sorry. Nobody in this room wants you. What? Oh, come on. You try to say through as many chapters where Spike pulls this shit off, and you see if you don't get tired of it as I do. She dropped the knives on the streets, clutching her burnt claws close to her chest. Randy snapped out of her doldrums. Eyes narrowing as combative instincts took over. She dumped over Spike and twisted on her front hooves, smashing her hind legs into Eliza's chest, sending her sprawling to the ground. Well, worse, he snatched Spike up and tossed him on her back, gambling away from the park as fast as he could. Spike! She panted. That was very heroic of you, and I'm forever grateful. But never do anything like that again. You had me very sick. Oh, don't worry. I'm not as bold as I would be if this was a Mikan pot. But still, it's once again Spike saving a life. Whoa. Like we haven't seen that before. Spike had his arms wrapped around Rarity's neck to stop himself from falling off. Sorry, Rarity, but I couldn't stand there and let that Griffith hurt you. Rarity rounded a corner, finding herself somewhere deep within the city. So levitated Spike off her back and nuzzled him against the cheek. Oh, Spike, you're braver than most stallions I know. That said, I couldn't nip myself if something happened to you. Even if it is for me, try not to do anything too dangerous, please. I guess you could do that, Spike blushed. Settling him down, Rarity gave him a peck on the cheek. You really are a noble dragon. Now come on, we have to find the others. Yes, Spike shook his head, clearing his daze. Yeah, we should probably find every pony else before something bad happens. There was a roar of a lion, and the night sky lit up in burning red glow as a ball of fire streaked over their heads and crashed on the pavement, blackening it, sending a shower of small embers everywhere. A few ponies that had been out instantly broke into a chorus of panic yells as far away as they could. Turning her head, Rarity could see Eliza soaring through the air, her burnt hand held tightly against her chest, while a ball of fire hovered over her other one. What? They get their fire now? Rarity shrieked. That would be so cool if she wasn't trying to kill us, Spike pouted. Rarity jumped out of the way of the incoming fireball, levitated Spike onto her back and broke into a run. Behind her, she could hear bursts of fire striking the road, judging by the prickly sensation on her backside. She knew they weren't off the mark. Around them, ponies fled, taking cover at any of the stores that still had their doors open. If anything, Rarity was grateful Eliza only had eyes for her and Spike. Rarity, she's getting closer! What are we going to do? Spike yelled into her ear. Rarity wished she had an answer. Moreover, she wished she had magical prowess like Twilight. She looked at the stone rope beneath them. Was she strong enough to rip pieces out and attack them like she had in the desert? Perhaps she could stop and concentrate for a few moments. The base of the road in front of her ignited a quick burst of fire, leaving only bubbling tar behind. Rarity came careening to a stop at the edge of the burning quagmire. She turned around in time to see Eliza with one last fireball aimed directly at her. Rarity, duck! Spike shouted. Rarity didn't hesitate and dropped down to the ground, putting her hose over her head just above her. She saw two blazing comets heading straight for her, only to be intercepted by a spray of green flames. Boo! 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 The two colorful blazes collided in midair, Fred being consumed by green. It was by far, as Rarity had ever seen, the greatest flame Spike had ever bellowed. We repeat! Boo! Delete this! Delete! The red fire vanished completely into the green conflagration, serving only to enlarge the ball as he continued on his path for Eliza. The look of pure apathy began a touch of fire. Eliza headed to the Emerald Inferno. The tables now turned against her. As he flew up, Rarity stood up and turned her head to stare wide-eyed in amazement at Spike. Those covered up puffs of smoke. I'm bored! We're really bored here! That was something amazing. I didn't know you could be fighting like that yet. Neither did I. Come on! Give me this, please! I don't know, Spike. I mean, there was Micah's piece of crap that I had to sit through. There have been so many other fics where we've had to sit through where you've done more work because somebody wanted to give you the chance to shine. To the point where you're trying to shine out more than the girls. Gee, I don't know. Should I really give this to you? I mean, I've sat through so many fics where they decide that for some odd reason you have to be more important. It's kind of clouding my taste for this. To the point where any scene where you're doing a heroic deed just fumbles it. Can I offer a counterpoint? Sure, Spike. You like this fic. It's right. It's true. So, how can I get back in your good graces? Maybe I could decide later why this is still annoying. It's not as annoying as, say, when Micah gives you the heroic night parts, or we have to sit through fanfic 587 of you going all emo and taking over the hero role because the authors don't know how to write a woman. Regardless of the situation, Rarity found herself giggling both amusement and admiration. Spike had saved her life twice in one night. She always knew he would grow up to be a brave knight. Her mirth was cut short when a shadow dropped out of the sky, dive-bombing her with outstretched talons. She screamed and ducked again, waiting for the claws to sink into her side. Instead, she felt a light pressure lift off her back, accompanied by a frantic scream that grew more distant with each second. Rarity jumped and spun around, seeing Eliza carry Spike down the road and pin him against the building at the end. She covered his mouth with her good hand, using her burnt one to hold out to her eyes. Spike was barely keepable at bay with his short arms. Trembling with rage and fearing for Spike's life, Rarity tore after him. She wasn't necessarily what she was going to do, but she needed to do something. The street stretched on to ever, then never getting nearer as Rarity ran. How long could Spike keep Eliza from carving into him? It was pounding against the street. Rarity frantically searched for something to aid her, yet all around were only closed shops and a few cowering ponies. Blue Spark jumped from Rarity's horn and turned her head to the right. Rarity's eyes fell upon a darkened storefront. Within windows, she could see something sparkling. She then gasped. A ruthless smile traveled across her face. With a bright flash, dozens of precious stones were ripped from their casings and tore through the glass window, circling around Rarity before speeding down the road, sharp points facing forward. Eliza! Rarity barreled down. Her voice prompted the Griffin to turn around, just deciding to see the Sam stop within point-blank range. She leaned closer to Spike, bringing the pointing knife closer to Spike's neck. Put the dragon down! Rarity's voice was soft, yet managed to close the difference that separated her and Eliza. If one of those things even twitches, I'll cut him like a fish, Eliza warned, her armed hand shaking in anticipation. If one of those knives touches him, I'll shred you to ribbons. The two females stared each other down, one waiting for the other to call their bluff. The air around them grew still. The background noise of the city was drowned out by the chorus of their beating hearts. A bead's sweat slipped down Rarity's face, threatening to run into her eye. She would refuse to blink, refused to lose her concentration. Not with Spike's life hanging out on the line, her entire body tense, ready to strike at a moment's notice. Diamonds, rubies, and emeralds floated around Eliza, poised to tear to shreds. Unable to hold them anymore, Eliza's knives fell from her scorched, blistering claws. Rarity could spring with some relief. Eliza sprang to the sky, faster than the Semstones could react. First this war cry, Rarity sent us spiraling into the air at Eliza, watching them cast the lights of the city as they climbed higher and higher. Soon it was only after her impeccable eye for detail that Rarity could see them, or the beast holding Spike prisoner. Even when the two were nothing but specks in the night sky, Rarity's gems hounded their every move. Eliza must have come to a realization about her desperate flight, for she pulled to the vertical dive and let go of Spike, favoring her own survival over that of her prisoners. Rarity gasped in horror as she watched Spike tumble through the air. Thinking quickly, she released all but one of her gemstones, allowing the rest to fall back to the earth, girdling an array of dazzling colors. She ran, trying to get to a closer position while keeping an eye on Spike and her last diamond. As it caught up to him, Rarity shouted at the top of her lungs, "Spike, catch it!" Spike snatched the glowing diamond, taking it in his claws. The second he did, Rarity jerked it towards herself, dragging Spike along across the sky. Rarity pulled it in and fired her diamond until she was close enough. She could wrap her arm around his body and bring him safely to the ground. She ran over and threw her hose around him. "Spike, are you okay?" "Yeah, I think so," he shivered. When Rarity looked to his eyes, it looked like he had taken one too many shots of caffeine. "But I changed my mind. I don't want facts. Wings. In fact, I never want to fly again." Irony. Rarity just smiled and hugged him tighter, closing her eyes and savoring the fact they were both still alive. Something bright shone through her eyelids, open to see a tall pillar of teal light tearing to the distant sky. Curious, Rarity followed to its apex, where it abruptly extinguished instead of slowly fading out like normal light would. "Spike, look!" Rarity pointed, ending their embrace. "Does that seem anything odd to you?" "A giant beam of light coming from the middle of the city? Yeah, a little." Held Rarity's hoof further up. "Oh yeah, that's even weirder." "What do you think that is?" Spike shrugged. "I don't know, but look at the color. I'm pretty positive that sunset's magic." I'll begin perhaps." Rarity lowered herself so Spike could climb onto her back. "Only one way to find out, I guess." Rarity nodded and sprung into a quick gait. She kept herself on high alert, however not wanting to be caught off guard. While Eliza was no doubt nursing her wounded pride, Rarity shuddered to think out who else might be lurking in the city. Okay, so I took a few minutes to think about why I could condemn Mikan for doing something similar. Nay, anytime a fanfic pulls this crap off where Spike comes in and is the big brave hero in the big brave knight and saves the other girls and does against Rarity's love and affection and does while at the same time Rarity is left in the dirt. I think I can tell you why. Maybe it's because later on we do have scenes of Rarity actually doing something. It just doesn't feel like Rarity is being insulted every single freaking moment. It doesn't feel like Rarity is being turned into a DID. Rarity has moments where she can pull out the gemstones. I would argue that this is something we should see with Rarity earlier, and we could also see Rarity pull off some of her other skills, like, say, using the needle and thread and tying the Griffith's wings together, or disassembling their armor by finding its weak point because of her eye to detail, or remembering how on the Art of the Dress music number, Rarity was able to wield, several different mannequins at once while doing the costumes, while doing the clothing, and using her needle and stitching without looking. I would argue that would be possible too. However, let's give this credit, it still actually shows things of Rarity being cool. And that's what's important, is to actually show them being able to do something rather than just letting Spike hog all the action. And people wonder why Spike fics rarely show up on the show. "Luna, what is it?" Celestia has watched Luna abruptly awake from her dream trance, gasping and panting heavily from whatever vision she had seen. "Are you all right, sister?" she pressed with concern. "You're trembling." The two sat inside the high tower of the castle, the moon casting its illustrious light through the balcony door. They lay across from each other, resting atop overstuffed pillows. Celestia lowered the towered books he had been reading, giving Luna her full attention. Luna stared vacantly into space, her expression grim. She was so silent for a moment, Celestia thought she had abruptly gone back to the dream world. Finally, she said very softly, "They are mortal peril." "What?" Celestia's eyes widened. "How can you be so sure?" "I went to speak to Sunset Simmer in a dream, and I felt a malevolent presence lurking over her physical body. She is in danger. I feel they are all in danger," Luna said despondently, her face a grim mask. Celestia stood abruptly. Dropping the book, she marched for the door, a fierce look on her face. "The time for inaction is over. I don't care who Vesper Radiance is. I have rested on my laurels long enough. Our police need us. Squirt! Oh! What was that for? No! Squirt! Oh! Squirt! Gods! Squirt! Oh! Aloud! Squirt! Oh! Alright, I'm enjoying this fix so far. I don't need you, I don't need Luna, and I don't need Cadence interrupting it! She looked over to Luna, still resting in place, giving her a pointed stare. "Sister, what is your plan on doing exactly?" Luna asked, her voice still quiet. "Make for Las Pegasus, of course," Celestia said briskly. Luna sighed and stood up, taking gentle steps towards Celestia. "Tia, and I cannot believe I am saying this, but stop and think rationally for a moment." Celestia recoiled back, looking taken aback. "Rationally? Of course I'm thinking rationally, Luna." "No, you're not," Luna said with a shake her head. "You're thinking passionately. I should know, for these situations are usually reversed." In spite of her rapidly waning patience, Celestia took a deep breath, keeping her composure. Then said, "Okay, Luna. Explain to me how I'm thinking passionately." "Very well. You also put a great deal of thought into how you were going to get to Las Pegasus in a timely manner. Were you going to take the royal chariot and ask the guards to fly at sonic speeds? Even if you flew on your own, you would not reach the city until daybreak. And judging from Twilight's letter, Vesper Radiance is not taking prisoners." Luna held up a hoof, cutting Celestia off before she could speak. "No, sister. You and I both know you cannot teleport that distance without exhausting all your magic and then some. It is over a 200-mile gap, Celestia. Even with our magic combined, it would be a serious strain." Luna faced the balcony and stared at the half moon. "To alter that problem, as I exited Sunset's mine, I felt something go upmost around the city. I could not access any pony streams. They are hazy and disoriented, like someone placed a barrier around them." Celestia stood rooted to the spot, taking another deep breath as she organized her thoughts. Luna's words were true. She hadn't thought about the time it would take her to reach Las Pegasus. By the time she did arrive, whatever she was going on now would be well and truly over. Either Twilight and her friends would stand victorious, or... She looked up to Luna with her eyes. "What would you have me do then? Do you remember what happened to Cloudsdale? I sent Twilight and her friends into this mess. I should be at least there for my student when she needs me. Squirt! Ow! Will you cut that out? I'm going to keep squirting this anti-god serum until somebody in this story actually understands we don't need the gods." "Well, she isn't your student anymore." Luna locked eyes with her. "Thank you, Luna! Finally, somebody had sense!" Excuse me, I'll be right back. Ahem. Attention! We hate what's happening to the MLP forums, and every single one of you reviewers who complains about Celestia and Luna not doing shit. I am going to repeat to you what this fix says. She isn't your student anymore. She is a grown man now. She is an alicorn, ascended on your behalf. When I first returned home as Nightmare Moon, you took a gamble, hoping Twilight would make friends and activate the elements of harmony. You knew that once you set that wheel into motion, there was nothing you would be able to do to see succeed except watch from your imprisonment. And now, sister, I'm afraid at this time, in this moment, you get to do nothing now except trust that she and her friends will be alright. I know it's not easy, and if it were not true, I would be right by your side, willing to fight. But now our intervention would mean nothing. Worse yet, it could result in us working into a trap. You hear that, people? Twilight's not a little girl anymore. She's not a wee little filly who needs her hand. She doesn't need a big, strong teacher to lead her somewhere. She is an adult, which means she can do things on her own. I know this is complicated, but when you graduate or live on your own, you don't need your parents to help you. You can do things on your own. You can go off, have adventures. You don't need the government or your teacher or your mom looking down and go, "It's okay, I'm here to hold your hand." No, you can rely on them for help, but most of the time, this is on you, which means you can do stuff on your own. It's a miracle, isn't it? Celestia bowed her head, considering Luna's words. True enough, Neighbor Moon had rendered her useless upon return. And while Celestia loved being useless, she rested easy knowing she had given something to Twilight. The lure of harmony and making friends. Except Twilight read that book on her own. It got the book on her own. As he considered the circumstances of Discord's escape, the situation escalated beyond Celestia's control. As he had been able to return to Twilight, to friendship letters he had written over the past year in Ponyville, aiding and restoring her friends and defeating Discord. While the Crystal Empire had been a test of sorts, Celestia had given Twilight clear instructions on what needed to be done. If worse came to worse, she and Luna would have slipped in and stopped Sombra. But Celestia couldn't help but wonder, what had she given Twilight this time? It wasn't as if Twilight could not flourish without her guidance. Celestia felt useless if she did not contribute to something. Her Queen Questo had struck her down for her subjects, and Celestia vowed never to be useless again. She sank into her pillows and rubbed her blurry eyes. Although she was loath to admit, Luna was right. There was nothing she could do at present. Luna sat down next to her and draped a wing over her shoulders. "Do not worry, Tia. I have faith you'll be fine. You have Twilight to lead them, and if this sunset simmers anything like your student of old, then she'll be quite powerful." "Yes, I know you're probably right, Luna. I just wish there was something I could do. Anything to show Twilight, all of them, that we're with them." Celestia's eyes gleamed, and a small smile graced her lips. "Perhaps there is a way."